Hello everyone, today I'm working on a true Russian freezer. We're not getting below 25 Fahrenheit. I just changed this compressor probably 8-9 weeks ago. Alright, so we're going to pull up our refrigeration checklist here before gauging up. These are all the steps we're going to follow. Don't mean to sound like a broken record, but we're going to follow this chart every single time. We're going to do the exact same routine every single time where it becomes muscle memory and we don't even have to pull up this checklist anymore. It's imprinted in your brain. All right. And what happens when that happens is you're basically an autopilot. When you're an autopilot, now you're working thoroughly, you're not taking shortcuts, and most importantly, you're working efficiently and you're troubleshooting very quickly. So first check, is our evaporator coil frozen? We're gonna check our fans on our condenser, on our evaporator. Are they running? Are the fan blades damaged? Is our condenser coil dirty? And is our compressor running? All right, so let's go check our fan 1, fan 2, they're running. Let's check for any freezing or frost. We have some light frosting on the evaporator coil, nothing to worry about. Next, we're gonna check our condenser fans. They're both running. Our condenser's clean because I just cleaned it, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks ago when I changed the compressor. All right, so we've completed everything on our checklist. That means it is now time to gauge up. All right, so let's toss our gauges on. We are at 48 and 185. All right, so let's go figure out what our pressures need to be. So because we have a cap tube, we're gonna take our desired box temp and we're gonna subtract our evap TD. So desired box temp, let's call it 0 Fahrenheit just to make the math really easy, and we'll subtract our evap TD, which is 20 Fahrenheit, and that gives us negative 20 Fahrenheit. Pull up our PT chart here. And minus 20 Fahrenheit equals 16 psi, and we are getting 48 psi. And to figure out our head pressure, we're just going to take our ambient temp and we're going to add our condenser split. In this case, it is 15 Fahrenheit, so we're going to go 73 Fahrenheit plus 15 Fahrenheit gives us 88 Fahrenheit. So let's pull up our PT chart once again. 88 Fahrenheit. Liquid pressure gives us 198 psi. And we have 185 psi. All right, so we have 48 psi on our suction. And we are looking for 16 psi. And on our high side, we have 185 psi. And we're looking for 195 psi. So that means we have high suction and low head. So we're gonna pull up our refrigeration cycle pressures chart and we have high low. So that's telling us we have a bad compressor. Well, I just changed this thing like 2 months ago. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna just pull the refrigerant, pull a vacuum, a deep vacuum, 500, 400 microns, pump some gas back in, and let's see if our pressures change. All right, vacuum's completed. We're recharging and we're at 33 and 151. All right, so we have 33 psi in our suction, and on our high side we have 151. So what does that mean? We still have high suction, low head. Well, nothing has changed. So we still have high low. So that means my new compressor, 8-week-old compressor, is done. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead here and do an acid test. It's just one of these ones you throw on the suction side, and it is passed the acid test. So it's telling me, the oil and everything in the system is good to go. So I've been very fortunate. I have not had a compressor go bad on me in a very long time. I'm talking 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So at this point, I'm in absolute disbelief. Did I miss something? Did I not follow the procedures correctly? Okay. So what I'm going to do here is go above and beyond and probably what I should have done in the first place. So I'm going to blow some nitrogen through the system. So you can see here, I'm coming through the condenser coil and we're going to blow everything out. Okay, we already did our acid test, but I'm not taking any chances. Okay, if I made a mistake, I need to make that right. Okay, so we're going to go above and beyond. Overkill. I'm kind of rattled a little bit that I blew a compressor here. And we're going to blow out both sides of the system. Okay, so because the system's open, we only blew out one side. Now we're going to blow out the second portion of the system. push everything out. And like I said, we want to make sure 100% that we're not making a mistake. Maybe I did make a mistake, but I know I vacuumed everything correctly. I did not go overkill and blowing all the lines out like this last time, and I didn't do an acid test. Maybe it's something I need to do going forward. All right, and we're gonna blow out our cap tube like we always do. All right, so one end brazed up. We're gonna blow it out at operating pressures. So because we have a freezer, we're gonna be closer to our 20 psi. So we're gonna try to get as close as possible to our 16 to 20 psi. Make sure we have good pressure. Last thing we want to do is button this whole thing up, and then, you know, from blowing all that oil out, who knows, maybe I restricted this cap tube, but we're all good. Cap tube is flowing. All right, and one other thing we're gonna do is change our oil in the vacuum. I'm not taking any chances here. All right, so we've vacuumed the system, we've recharged everything, and we are at 18 and 198. All right, so our suction pressure is now 18. We're looking for 16. We're within the range. Because it's a freezer, we're at 0 Fahrenheit desired box temp to, like, let's say -10. Okay, so a variance of 1 or 2 psi is not going to matter. And then on our high side, we're looking for 195. I have 198. So the compressor is now doing its job. It's pumping correctly. All right, last thing we're gonna do is move the refrigerant from our high side gauge to our low side because we're critically charged. So we don't want to leave 195 pounds of pressure inside my hoses, because that could be the equivalent of 1 or 2 ounces. So keep in mind it is liquid, so I'm going to slowly throttle this in. So I'm just going to open up my high side, slowly open up my low side, and it's going to move the refrigerant from the high side, the liquid, into the low side of the compressor, and then it's going to remove that 1 to 2 ounces that I would have otherwise removed from the system by just pulling my gauges off. Alright, and our gauges are equalizing here, so we're almost there. We're good, and our temperature is at 0 Fahrenheit. We've passed the stress test of 1 degree Fahrenheit per minute, which means we are all good here. Alright, as you can see there, we had a high-low situation. So that's telling us that we need a compressor. Because I changed this compressor about 2 months ago, I did decide to pull the charge, vacuum the system out, and put new refrigerant in the system. This, of course, changed nothing. So at this point, I got to figure out, what did I potentially miss when I originally replaced this compressor? So I decided to blow out the lines more than I normally would, and I performed an acid test. As you can see, the acid test did pass, indicating no acid in the system, but that leaves the question of why the compressor failed. Like I said earlier, it's very rare that I have a compressor fail under warranty, because I make sure to follow proper refrigeration procedures. Now, it's possible that it was a bad compressor from the start. This is a situation where you can't get caught up on and you just need to move on from it. Sometimes these kind of things just happen. Now, if this type of thing is something that's happening frequently, we really need to review our procedures and see what steps we're potentially leaving out.